Welcome to the news in Africa and the world, Friday the 5th of June 2020. We begin in Senegal, where the government has announced it will moderately ease a curfew and lift a ban on inter-regional travel after 2 nights of unrest against the curbs imposed in March to contain the spread of the coronavirus. The Interior Minister said the start of 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew will be pushed back to 2 hours and that restrictions on travel between Senegal's region will be lifted. Gatherings in public or private places, restaurants, casinos, and many more will also benefit from the relaxation measures, he added. On Wednesday, protests broke out in the capital, Dakar, and in several other cities, with more than 200 people arrested. In the Mediterranean, more than 400 migrants are living aboard pleasure cruise vessels off Malta's coast, many of them several weeks now, and the country is breaking international law by delaying their leave. Rescued from human traffickers in central Mediterranean late April, the migrants are waiting for European Union countries to offer to take them in. Only France has so far pledged to accept some of the asylum seekers. Europe's leading human rights organization is calling for immediate action to bring to shore these migrants and refugees that the Malta government transferred to chartered pleasure boats at sea. Malta's government has accused other EU countries of breaking promises to take in migrants rescued at sea as part of a burden-sharing arrangements. SOS Mediterranean said a lack of EU action means that more migrants die in unreported shipwrecks or are illegally sent back to Libya, where they suffer torture and abuse. Over to Sudan, the United Nations Security Council voted unanimously to move towards ending the joint UN-African Union peacekeeping force in Sudan's vast Western Darfur region and replacing it with a civilian mission focusing on the country's democratic transition. The resolution on the brand new United Nations Integrated Transition Assistance Mission in Sudan, UNITAMS, was composed by Britain and Germany. The mission was established for an initial period of 12 months, according to the text of the resolution. The resolution asks Secretary General Antonio Guterres to promptly call an agent to direct the new mission after the fall of longtime ruler Umar al-Bashir in April 2019 and several months of pro-democracy protests that were brutally suppressed. Sudan embarked on a political transition. The council did not set a date for the end of the mission, known as UNAMID, in the 2 related resolutions that were approved in writing. In the world, the Vaccines Alliance has raised $8.8 billion from international donor governments, companies, and philanthropic foundations to fund its immunization programs through to 2025. The virtual meeting beat a funding target of $7.4 billion for Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and will help provide vaccines at a reduced cost to 300 million more children in the world's poorest countries against diseases like measles, polio, and diphtheria. The Vaccine Alliance also said it had raised $567 million towards an initial goal of $2 billion from international donors for an advanced market commitment to buy future COVID-19 vaccines for poor countries. The European Central Bank has boosted its pandemic emergency support program by €600 billion to €1.35 trillion in an effort to keep affordable credit flowing to the economy during the steep downturn caused by the virus outbreak. The ECB President Christine Lagarde said the economy is experiencing an unprecedented contraction. She introduced the baseline gross domestic product and inflation outlook for the euro area. Its economic growth is expected to fall by 8.7% and rebound by 2021 to 5.2%. But the rebound would depend a lot on the sizable support from fiscal and monetary policy. The bloc's largest economy, Germany, announced a 130 billion euro stimulus package. It comes on top of the massive economic aid package discussed at the beginning of the crisis and the EU's COVID-19 recovery fund. EU leaders will discuss it at the summit on the 19th of June. And hundreds of mourners join in an emotional memorial service for George Floyd to mark the life of the man whose death has sparked more than a week of protests against police brutality, racism, and social injustice. The congregation stood in silence for over 9 minutes, the length of time Mr. Floyd was pinned to the ground by a white officer. Civil rights leader Reverend Al Sharpton vowed to use the moment to change the whole system of justice. In a statement, the 65-year-old Baptist minister said, "You changed the world, George. We are going to keep fighting." It is on this note that we call it a day. Thank you very much for choosing the news to be informed in Africa and the world. Until we meet again, do take care and stay safe.